We are using machine learning technologies to accurately predict demand in a way that we think is cutting edge. We think we're pioneering this technology in many ways. My name is Peter Pernot-Day. I'm the Global Head of Strategy for the SHEIN Group. Very excited to be with you all today in Berlin. And I want to share a little bit about how SHEIN makes the beauty of fashion accessible to everyone. So a quick little overview of our company for those of you who have not heard about us. We're active in over 165 countries. We have 11,000 employees. We have about 5,400 contract manufacturers in 3 countries. Those are concentrated in China, Brazil, and Turkey, and we're looking to further expand that with new partnerships. Our app is available in 50 languages, and we're all really focused on empowerment. So we have a very significant portion of our senior leadership team are women, and we're very keen to empowering new voices and new visions through a variety of programs, which I'll get into in a moment. We have a number of brands that you may have heard of, but we're most commonly associated with our core brand, which is SHEIN. And it is pronounced SHEIN, not shine or other words for that. So what are we about? What makes SHEIN unique? Why are we a brand that you want to participate in? And I think it comes down to one singular vision, and that is making the beauty of fashion accessible to everyone. But how do we do that? What makes us different than other brands that have fashion and beauty at their center? For us, it's about putting the customer in charge. It's something that we call the on-demand business model. And this slide helps explain a little bit about how we do that. It starts with 2 pieces of technology. The first is world-class demand measurement technologies. We are leveraging statistical modeling and machine learning to its very razor edge to accurately predict demand. Let me say that again. We are using machine learning technologies to accurately predict demand in a way that we think is cutting edge. We think we're pioneering this technology in many ways. We then can take that to a world-class supplier management system. This is truly an example of digital-first retail. All of our suppliers have access to a machine learning-powered supplier management platform that gives them real-time insight into what's selling, what's not selling, what's coming down the pipe, what types of production models and materials they're going to need to use, how they're going to need to staff and tool their factories so that they can be agile and responsive in real time. What we do with this information is small batch production. So instead of making orders for 1,000 or 10,000 or 1 million garments at a time, we place orders for 100 to 200. If those garments sell, we can go back to our digitally empowered supply chain and produce to meet actual demand. The net effect of this is reducing inventory waste into the very low single digits. This allows us to pass on very significant savings to our customers. It also allows us to dramatically reduce waste and have a, we think, positive sustainability story to tell. Oops, wrong way, sorry. So what is our value creation model? So I think one of our core visions is to improve efficiency. The technology that we're working with, we are constantly working to improve it, to get that very razor edge from our algorithms so that we can accurately predict demand, to get our suppliers the best information possible through our supplier management system so they can do bidding and asking in real time, and we can do order fulfillment in near real time, while also giving us tremendous visibility across our supply chain so that we can be a responsible actor. It also allows us to significantly reduce waste, which we pass on as savings to our customers. Our costs of goods sold are significantly lower because we do not have to account for excess inventory waste. And all of this allows us to offer a huge variety of products to our customers at very low prices, which allows them to participate in the beauty of fashion. So when we say we want everyone to participate in the beauty of fashion, we're capable of delivering that. So what is this model that we've landed upon? To us, we think it's something called digital-first retail. It's where you're marrying 2 previously distinct technologies across a global supply chain to realize very, very significant results. This leads to better customer engagement because customers can find and engage with products that they actually like. It also allows us to make very quick and accurate business decisions, which has been very successful for us as we've scaled as a global brand. So I'll pause there. I know we have a lot to discuss, and there's some questions that will be asked, but very excited to be here with everyone today, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you and sharing more about our vision and our values as a company, and really how the power of digital-first retail can benefit all of our customers as they look to self-express through their clothing. So I'll pause there. I don't know where, there they are. Yeah.
All right, Peter, thank you so much. I know that you guys are a private company still, but you're like, I mean, there have been talks that you're going public, and I know you cannot comment on numbers. I know that, and we agreed on that. But, you know, I mean, I've read on the internet, I mean, I have some numbers being disclosed, and just to have the feeling of the size we're talking about. So you're like a juggernaut already, and I think you've been in the game for 10 years, right? So we're talking like GMV, something like, that's what I've read. It's like 20 billion. And so, that's also one of the main reasons why I thought I would love to bring you on stage. And I mean, my partner Jochen saw you live at Shop Talk. And I engaged with you, and we were like, yeah, happy to talk. And I was like, yeah, and we managed to bring you here. And this morning, you know, we had this discussion that SHEIN and the likes of Temu like are the new players who will dominate the fashion industry. Is that the way you see the world as well, from an inside-out perspective?
So I think to break your question down into two, I see the future as being digital-first retail. And I don't think that any one brand will claim to have a monopoly on it. And I think events like K5 are actually critical for us to convene, to talk, to share ideas, because there are a number of functional and really existential challenges facing the fashion industry. One is the democratization of fashion. Consumers today are not as interested in purely designer-led visions, let's say. They want to be able to self-express and find brands that travel with them on their own journey of self-expression. I think that's a critical challenge that digital-first retail makes possible. I think a second one is environmental impacts. We have a very significant sustainability challenge that's facing the entire industry. How do we find ways of producing garments that are accessible, that are cost-conscious, let's say, but also sustainable? And I think that's a major challenge. That's something that we as a company are very committed to working on. And we think that our low-waste, on-demand production model is a start in that direction, and there's still more work to be done, but we're very proud of that work. In terms of replacement and what that means, I really appreciated your intro video, how you see these waves. I'm an open water swimmer, so I spend way too much time in the water, especially around waves. We actually call it texture. But this is a dynamic moment, and it's one that we have seen before. The business cycle itself is dynamic. So in terms of replacement, in terms of the future, I don't think any of us know what that means. It's not fixed. I think brands that can embrace these changing dynamics, democratization, digitization, artificial intelligence, they will succeed. Brands that try to hold on to the past, I think, will struggle.
Yeah, okay. I think what is interesting, and we will talk about also on the sustainable side of the business, but what triggers my interest was that you shortened the cycle in which you actually launch like fashion trends, and you work a lot with data, and you know, the old world was like, you know, I don't know, like the buying cycles were like 18 months, 24 months ahead. Then came fast fashion with Zara and H&M, and now you're like even not ultra fast. You are like this manufacturer to consumer. So you're so close to the consumer, based on, and that was my misunderstanding or my misinterpretation, based on artificial intelligence, which is not really true, because you work a lot with data, right, and algorithms. Is that maybe you can dwell on that one, Liz?
I think those are really important questions. AI gets used a lot. I'm sure we've all heard it, and we all have varying conceptions about it. I actually think that it's a bit of a misnomer. When we talk about artificial intelligence, what we're really talking about, in our view, is augmented intelligence. And these are where technologies like large language models, machine learning, and statistical analysis, which is what both machine learning and large language models are based on, comes alongside of a human intelligence and produces something that's real and physically tangible. And that's really what SHEIN is. If you were to break us down, we've spent the last 11 years as a company building an ecosystem of small and medium-sized garment production facilities that we've empowered through community development funds, through technology like digital thermographic printing, and through our supplier management platform, which utilizes these machine learning technologies to produce clothing in a highly efficient way. This means we can produce very few copies of each garment. It means we waste very little and have very little inventory waste. And it also means that we can take consumer signals and say, I want to wear this type of garment, and I want to be in this particular type of micro trend. We can detect that, and we can act on that in a way that I think we've really pioneered. Now, in terms of time to market and how long it takes to produce a garment, that varies based on the precise garment. In some cases, we've been able to do that in under a month, but in other cases, it takes longer. But I think more so, what we've done is we've really happened upon a business model that puts the customer first. We aren't trying to race them or guess what they want or will want in the future. We're able to respond to what they want in almost near real time. That's why we call it the on-demand business model.
I have a question. I mean, I think one piece of the magic, as you said, is you have a completely different approach to understand demand.
Yes.
So you're not guessing.
Yeah.
You wait for signals, you translate signals into product, and you get that product into the market with what I've read before, somehow a duration of a couple of days. Now, in your presentation, you talked about 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So my question is, number one, was it ever 3 to 5 days, or was it always 3 weeks? Which is still great, don't get me wrong, but was it ever 3 days, or is that a PR hoax in Germany?
I've not seen that number, but I never say never. We're very efficient. So.
Okay. But my question now is, if that is let's say the secret, the magic sauce, yeah? And now you're expanding globally. You're coming to Europe. You are in Europe. I mean, you are one of the fastest growing brands without disclosing numbers, I know, but even in Germany, you are obviously building up huge traction. What does that do to the model? Do you now have a model that looks at German demand and produces for German taste in small batches within Europe to hit those service levels of a couple of days until it's in the market?
Yes. So we're not competing with Amazon's model of being just-in-time delivery. So we're not looking to be in a position where you will order something and then the next day it's delivered to your house as a bespoke product. What we're talking about more is looking at trends in near real time and then producing into those trends. Do we do that on a country-by-country basis? The short answer is absolutely. So our app is available in 50 languages. We engage with customers as diverse as customers in Israel and Saudi Arabia at the same time and are able to compete and win customers in both of those very different markets because we can tailor our solution to local tastes, because we don't have to be bound to these large forward purchases. We can produce 100 copies of something. If it sells in Saudi Arabia, we'll ramp it up. If it doesn't sell in Israel, we won't be offering it on our Israeli site.
And the injection of that inventory, which historically came straight and directly from China, I understand you're building up production also in Europe to facilitate that demand. Is that correct?
Yes. So we are actively in the process of what we like to call de-risking our supply chain. So we have current facilities in Brazil. We have current facilities in Turkey. We're also piloting facilities in Mexico. And we've just announced a major partnership with the Reliance Group in India to further expand our production footprint. So currently, the bulk of our clothing is made in southeastern China, the Guangdong province. But again, for us, we have not seen brand friction through having a more delayed shipment process. So we aren't trying to emulate a just-in-time or next-day delivery model. We feel that our current model, and it is getting shorter and shorter, is actually continuing to delight our customers.
Is the extension into the marketplaces model, which you announced, at least over here, I think a couple of months ago, Does that have an impact on that principle? Does the model and the speed change with now going into a marketplaces model? Is there any change?
So I think what the marketplace model reflects is our desire to find like-minded brands who are interested in our technological capabilities and really supercharging their own brands to engage with our customer base. So they too will have access to the data that we use to manufacture, to produce the supplier management system. And we think that will allow them to also benefit from our waste reduction capabilities. We also think that as a brand with a vision of as broad as ours, one to really make fashion accessible to everyone, there's certain aspects of fashion that we don't do as well. We are not as strong in menswear, for example. So we're actively looking for partners who may be better at that and who want to use our technology to reach a new cohort of customers. That's another example of why we've pivoted to the marketplace offering. But we will continue to offer our core brands, and we'll continue to be a major producer of lifestyle and clothing products for our customer base.
So if I can dive in here, it's like, I mean, we learned this morning that you dominate the fashion domain on TikTok with, like, I don't know, in fact the number was 62 billion impressions, and I think Temu is with 2 billion, way behind, and Zalando is just below 1 billion. And so is that when you're saying, like, you want to invite, like, brands that fit to your DNA, is that you're looking into, like, influencer brands, like you're looking specifically into this area, into this platform, or is it anyone who wants to come up with a fashion brand, no matter what?
So I think one of the aspects of our business that's maybe misunderstood or maybe overstated is our connection to social media platforms.
Yeah.
A lot of the social media advertising that you see or that's associated with us is actually organic.
Yeah.
Given our price point and the fact that we're so customer-led, customers are excited about our stuff and they post about it on social media. We do obviously advertise on social media, but we aren't a social media company. At the end of the day, we're a fashion retailer. And so we're looking for brand partners who are interested in fashion retail or interested in lifestyle retail. You don't have to have a large TikTok presence to join the party, so to speak.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like, what the beauty of this model is, from my perspective, again, is that you have this deep connection with the manufacturing side, and you're in the position to order a small batch of test product, right? And this I mean offers complete new ball game for anyone who comes up with an idea, creating whatever type of garment, right? And whatever kind of new brand. So you will be there. So there are no real barriers to entry to start a business as well, right?
That's right. So we've launched a program that we call the SHEIN X Incubator Program. And this is actually exactly what you're talking about. So these are new designers, new artists who may be struggling to break into the fashion industry. Perhaps they have their own brand. And they can join our incubator program, and we will help fund the production of clothing, the computer augmented design of clothing, the marketing of the clothing, and the shipment of the clothing that they produce. And they're allowed to come onto the platform and produce a capsule collection that we jointly market with them. And this is a way for these designers to reach a new audience. They continue to own the intellectual property rights for their design, but at the same time, our customer base is now exposed to new visions and new voices. In a way, it's taking that democratization trend I was talking about and applying it to designers and artists. We have 3,000 of these SHEIN X designers today on the platform. They earn royalties, they get training. We had our first SHEIN X Global Summit in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago, and we did a SHEIN X fashion show in Paris 2 weeks ago, which I was fortunate enough to attend. It was very, very well done. These are very serious designers.
There's one thing that, of course, in our bubble we like to discuss and kick around all day, basically, which is unit economics. Yeah. And when you look at your price points, average price points, it kind of makes people scratch their foreheads, because at the same time, it's been said that you're already profitable, which I know you won't comment on, but that's at least something that's been said in media. Can you, at least to an extent you feel comfortable, talk us roughly through how do unit economics work if your average price point is, what is it, $4?
I think it's 7, but...
Oh, right, sorry. Oh, I was wrong. So €7, what does that mean? Do you have like 50 items in every order, in every bag, or how does it work economically?
So I would say that there are two principal components of cost of goods sold that we have. The first is inventory waste. So in traditional garment manufacturing, inventory waste has to be accounted into each particular item that you make on a per item basis. Because our inventory wastes are so low, that constitutes a very significant per unit savings. So that's point one. Point two is we have no physical retail presence. We're online only. We don't have to maintain a large network of retail stores. We don't have to maintain micro inventory. We can concentrate our distribution centers. So that's another principal savings that we are able to pass on to our customers. And then I think the final point is that we're very, very efficient in our production model. So we can use these digital technologies to dramatically reduce waste. This means that our digital cutting technology saves us significant portions in offcuts. We don't carry a lot of dead stock. All these things contribute to our low-cost production. One thing that does not is labor unit costs. We're often mischaracterized as either using improper labor practices or underpaying our workers. Very proud to say that we have zero tolerance for forced labor in our platform. We conduct regular audits. We work with third-party auditors to ensure that our contract manufacturers are complying with our supplier code of conduct. We take that very seriously. We also conducted a wage study across our suppliers in southern China and found that we're paying significantly more than the industry average for our garment workers. So contrary to some misconceptions, we're very confident that our price is not driven by labor costs. It's driven by the efficiency of our model.
Well, and I think it's also driven by the demand side, right? That you're catering a certain consumer group, right? Young people with like low discretionary income, and I think that there's also, I mean, we talked about this before. It's like there's a cognitive delta between like everybody wants to save the planet, and then when they look at their wallet, they say like, oh, that's so expensive, so they go for that. So you're catering to a certain group. Is there any plans that you also want to go up the ladder, or is that, I mean, like, is that already happening, or like when you move to Europe, it's a different, right, target group than I don't know, Brazil or somewhere else?
So let me break that down into two parts. So the first part is around consumer consciousness.
Yeah.
We have data that we worked with Vogue Business to develop that suggests that the vast majority of customers have an intentionality in the products that they make. They want to work with brands that are either committed to sustainability or on a sustainability journey. They want to work with brands that are responsible employers and that treat their employees and contract employees fairly. So we're very aware of that, and we're trying to structure our business in response to that. We've launched a number of initiatives, including something we call the Evolution by Design, which is a fabric standard that measures both our suppliers' social responsibility scores and the environmental impact of the fabrics. And this standard is something that we're adopting across our clothing offerings. It's not just a capsule collection or a quote-unquote green collection. It's something that we hope to eventually use in the majority of our products. So I think that's part one. In terms of sort of part two of the question, I unfortunately I forgot where you were going with the second part. I got lost in the evolution of
price points. Will you go up on price points? Will you go premium?
Yeah. So I think that with our vision being about everyone having access to the beauty of fashion, that means that we want to meet customers in each demographic. We are very associated with Gen Z. We're increasingly associated with Generation Alpha, but that doesn't mean that Gen X, boomers, older consumers are not of interest to us. We've launched a line called Motif, M-O-T-F, which is targeted specifically at professional women, possibly a little older demographic, a little higher price point. Now these aren't premium garments, but these are, I would say, very competitive with some of the high street brands you may be very familiar with, and are really targeted at professional women. And we've seen quite a bit of growth in our data in those cohorts over the last 18 months since we've launched that brand.
I have to ask you.
Yeah.
So whenever we talk about, consumer to manufacturer over here, people say, like Wish. So people say, all this is the next Wish. Now, without throwing any competitor under the bus at all, how would you describe the difference? Why is SHEIN not a next wish despite being in a different product category?
Well, I don't think we're like any other company. We're really sort of the pioneer of on-demand fashion. I think what you'll also see is that we're very, very committed to compliance in the countries that we do business in. We've got teams on the ground in France. We have teams on the ground in Germany. We have a headquarters in Ireland that we just opened up. We have a team on the ground in the United Kingdom. And I think our commitment, our vision is to be a responsible global citizen. We're headquartered in Singapore. I'm obviously based in California. Several other global executives are based in California. And I think our vision is to really be an example for how the next generation of large fashion-forward companies can emerge.
And conceptually, is there conceptual difference you would say that makes it?
You know, I'm not an expert on Wish, but I'm sure that they're building a terrific brand. But in terms of what I do know, which is SHEIN, I think that we are really committed to being this global citizen. And I think that means compliance with applicable laws, compliance with tax and import laws, an awareness of cultural differences and sensitivities, and we're investing in that. I'll give you a specific example, IP. We have stood up a very large international team of IP reviewers to make sure that items that could infringe intellectual property rights of other brands are removed from our platform. And it's another example where we're using AI. We've developed a computer vision technology to scan images that are going to be loaded onto the site to flag potentially copyrighted material as an additional check to the human checks that we're using. So I think that type of investment is something that I like to think reflects our commitment to being a responsible player.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is still like for me, it's like when you strip away all the the questions in the fashion industry, and you end up with this, you know, like that you produce and consume too much, right? Mm-hmm. So and I mean, you tackle that you are producing just what the demand is, right? Is that the point, right? And then, I mean, with the size we pointed out, something around 20 billion GMV, I think you have the power to really change the way fashion is perceived, produced, and consumed. Is that correct?
I think so. I think we all, the entire industry, all of us who are adjacent to it, we need to take collective action. And I think that starts with pre-production, which is something that we do quite well. And I think your point about post-consumption is also valid. Let me tell you about a couple of things we're doing today. We've launched a retail exchange in the United States. We are hoping to roll it out in Europe in the near future. That retail exchange has over 1 million current active users in the United States where they can take pre-loved SHEIN clothes and sell them to other potential SHEIN customers. We have launched the Evolution line, which I mentioned earlier, which is using 30% post-consumer waste recycled fibers in the finished fabrics. But I think more needs to be done. And I think it's going to take collective action to do that. What does that look like? We think it involves consumer education. How do we get consumers to correctly care for their garments to extend their life? How do we get them to return garments for recycling programs? We think it's going to take technology. We've partnered with a company called Queen of Raw, and it's our vision to become the world's largest purchaser of dead stock material that we can then use to make net new products. And this is something that's a SaaS-enabled solution that looks at dead stocks across the industry, aggregates them, and puts them into a marketplace where companies like ours can use our market power to buy them. That's going to continue to enhance circularity. But I think the final piece of this is really something about the next generation of materials. In order for us to continue to allow customers to express themselves, and again, these are consumptive choices. We're not going out and telling people, here, buy clothes. Like, obviously, we're marketing them, but this is real demonstrable demand. We think that in order to do that, you're going to have some material science breakthroughs, more recyclable technologies, fabrics that are biodegradable but also can stand up to regular use. All of these things are on the table. And as I travel around the world, I really talk to thought leaders in this space, and I'm keen to talk to any of you who have ideas on how to promote the next generation of fabrics and the next generation of recycling technologies for fabrics so we can have a truly circular system.
Okay. All right, Peter, thank you so much for
Thank you guys.
traveling all the way to Berlin, and I appreciate really your effort and your time and the insights. And I think we're getting a warm round of applause for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Great to be with you.